What up, what up, what up? This is Astro Dim here doing a daily horoscope moon reading for you guys for September 6th, 2018, okay? So this one is going to be a little bit long because the moon is switching signs today. I was born when the moon switched signs from Leo to Virgo, but I'm a Leo moon. So, I really feel like I do need to be detailed since I was born during this day. That should be detailed with this energy, okay? All right, so let's talk about the actual moon in the third decan of Cancer. Talk about the aspects that the moon is making there. And then talk about, the moon when it hits the first decan of Leo and the aspects it's making from there. All right. So at 12 o'clock a.m. my time, September 6th, the moon will be in 23 degrees Cancer. So let's look at the moon between, the 20s degrees and maybe a little bit before late teens. Let's look at that, okay? But let me generally actually talk about this moon being in the third decan. So the moon being in the third decan of Cancer is actually the Neptune decan. So remember how I went on a whole tirade yesterday about how we need to really focus on the spirituality aspect of our emotions and our intuition? Definitely to do that here. At this time, emotions will bring some clarity, but maybe also bringing some disillusionments, or bringing our disillusionments out in the forefront so we can kind of break that down and have a better understanding of why we are feeling disillusioned with our emotions, which is dope because, this is connected to our self-undoing and how we sabotage ourselves. We do that through delusions, whether it's delusions that are brought onto us or delusions that we create on ourselves, on our own. So definitely a deep moon decan for sure. And something that we need to focus on. And it's deeply connected with spirituality too, because spirituality is here to help us with our self-sabotaging waves. So, kind of fine-tuning that intuition like I was preaching about before, y'all. Very, very, very important. All right. And then the Neptune's not going to be retrograde for that long. I think it's going to be with about a month and a half when it's going to stop. So definitely take advantage of this energy because it's really important. It's teaching us a lot. So anyways, especially with Neptune trine Jupiter, it's teaching us a lot, especially about our divine partners, especially for women's divine partners, whether they are, or actually not women, but feminine energy and the divine partners. If you want to learn more about that, look at my Neptune retrograde video, okay? But yeah, anywho, let's take a look here at the aspects. So, all right. This moon is actually going to be squared Venus. Venus is in 27 degrees Libra, okay? Not the best aspect for sure. It's going to be squaring Venus the whole entire day too. So it's not the best aspect, but let's talk it through. So basically our desires of wanting to relate to people in a better way, to connect with people in a better way, to build relationships, whether romantic or platonic, that desire is running strong, especially as we're heading closer and closer to the critical point of Libra. And then the thing is, Venus is going to be retrograde back into Libra pretty soon. So it's going to be definitely with that retrograde, we're like squaring back and scaling back and to learn more about what exactly is going on with how we relate to people on a general basis. But basically, like, we're really trying to have a better understanding of how we relate to people, how we have a meeting of the minds with others and truly vibe with them and have this strong compatibility. You know what I mean? But with this moon being in Cancer, and with the moon being in Cancer in the third decan, we are not really focused on relationships deep down inside. That's not something we really want to fuck with. We want to fuck with kind of bettering and understanding our intuition and our emotions and how they are connected. focusing on our self-undoing. We're literally being focused on ourselves and how ourselves are created to the bigger, like, universal unconsciousness. You get what I'm saying? So kind of thinking about relating to others is quite 3D at this time to us, at this time. But it's not going to last that long. It's just for the day. So I would say follow the moon in this sense, personally. But it's up to you where you want to follow, honestly. But you just have a lot of other times to focus on relating with others, because, you know, Venus is a slower moving than the moon. And then Venus is going to go back into Libra anyway, because it's about to go retrograde soon. So that's just my personal opinion. You can do whatever the fuck you want, honestly. But that's what I think. In the earlier end of the day, the moon is going to be trining Jupiter again. So similar to yesterday, with those energies, is we are the energies are going to be grand. It's going to be greatly connected with how we philosophically understand what emotionally bonding is, what intimacy is, what shared worth is, and how it's connected to our emotions and our spirituality and our intuition. Okay, all coming back in together. And with Jupiter, is funny because, you know, Scorpio represents, you know, intimately bonding with others, emotional bonding, and death and transformation and rebirth. And the reason why it's death, transformation, and rebirth, even though you go through those things by yourself, you kind of bond with others, become one, and then go through this transformation and rebirth. Even with the, you know, when the first man and woman were born, Lilith and Adam, they were made from dirt, but they was like gathered together as dirt. It wasn't just one speck of dirt. It was a whole bunch of dirt coming into one, creating a man. So it's not just you yourself going through things, believe it or not. It's a collection of things that make up you. You get what I'm saying? And so when you kind of, like, you know, when you think about like Scorpio in the 8th house and Pluto, it's very reminiscent of twin flame type of energy, where, yeah, yes, there's two separate people, but they're actually one soul, you know, and they merge into one. So anywho, it's really connected with that. And then Jupiter actually represents the husband in astrology too. So you're probably thinking about that, like long-term relationships and shit like that. So and kind of understanding the philosophies of that and what that means and how it's connected to your emotions and intuition and stuff like that. So it's deep energy right there. Later on, I'll talk about you know, with how the moon is aspecting Saturn, when I talk about when the moon's in Leo. And then but the moon is, again, still opposite Pluto. So again, this whole connection of how us intimately bonding with others is connected to our status, our career, and reputation is still rolling strong. And the thing is, though, with our emotions is connected to strictly our private moments, our emotions, and working through that. So there's this opposite pull connected to it. And especially with the moon being in the Neptune decant, we're thinking about different disillusionments and how it's connected to our emotions. While we, at the same time, though, we still want to be empowered through, you know, our status. And so again, it's a seesaw or tug of war effect, where you're like, I want to focus on this. No, I want to focus on that. No, I want to focus on this. No, I want to focus on that. So you're going to be going through that for sure. You know, this moon, for both when it's in Cancer and in Leo, is going to be opposite Mars as well. Actually, throughout both days. Not both days, throughout both when the moon is in Cancer and in Leo. And thank God Mars is direct, right? But we may be feeling like kind of going through these emotions. We may be feeling a little bit either driven and motivated to get the status and recognition that we want. Or we could also be feeling a little bit angry that we are not at this place that we want to be at this moment. And we're feeling like our emotions are in the way. Our dumbass emotions are in the way. And we need to be a little bit more together. a little bit more practical and not so emotional. So we might be going through that seesaw effect as well. Like, I should be more practical and get shit done. Or no, I need some emotion. I need to work through my emotions because I'm going to be feeling this way continuously. And I want to, before I kind of be motivated and go at this thing that I want to get at, I need to address these emotions so I can do it with a clear mind, body, and spirit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I will talk about how the moon is aspecting, Chiron and Uranus too, but I'm going to skip over to how, this moon is affecting, us when it's in the early signs of Leo. Okay. So let me skip over to the 12 o'clock PM time. So with the moon, when it hits Leo, it's going to be hitting the first decan of Leo, which is ruled by the sun. So we're going to be extra self-expressive with our emotions. Not so private, not so, personally, going through these emotional things. We're going to be a little bit more self-expressive, and we're going to be more able to let people know how we feel. Now, are we going to actually talk it? Maybe, but we could also do it in other different creative ways, because remember, Leo represents talents and creativity as well. So we could do it through art, through singing, through whatever, it could be something simple as through work. You know what I mean? Just using our creative juices to be self-expressive on how we feel about certain things. Okay. So that's what we're definitely going to be doing. That moon is going to be conjunct the North Node. So the most self-expressive we are, the more, the more we count our emotions, find our emotions worthy, the more closer we're actually getting to our life path. Us being creative and expressing our emotions, and whatever way we deem fit, whatever way is the most comfortable, is actually going to give us a eureka moment to connect us to our life path. But the thing is, though, you have to keep your third eye open and your ears open to catch that moment. It's not just going to happen just because whatever. Like, we have to actually, it has to happen. We have to see it happen. We have to be cognizant and conscious of what's happening around us. So definitely keep your eyes open. Okay. Another thing that's happening here as well is, of course, I already talked about the moon, making an aspect to Venus. But when it hits, like, what I can say though, when it hits Leo, the moon hits Leo, it's still going to be squaring Venus. But again, like, instead of bringing those emotions inward about, ourselves and how we want to like work through our emotions and how it's connected to spirituality, we're going to be way more self-expressive. We're going to be really just showing our identity through our emotional identity through what we do. And not really focusing on relating to others. We don't give a damn about that at this moment. We just want to be as self-expressive as we want to be. Similarly to, the moon in conjunct Capricorn. Like, I usually don't talk about in conjuncts, but it is going to be in conjunct exactly. So it's something that I do want to talk about. This is like, in conjuncts are similar to squares, but it's not as in our face. In conjuncts are more like small little annoyances, right? And it's funny because Leo and Capricorn is a lot more alike than a lot of people think, because they are both, status is very important to them. Both status is very important to them. Recognition actually is, in a way, but it's in different, it is actually manifested in different ways. You know what I mean? But regardless though, recognition is important for, let me actually get back to it. Recognition is important for Leo because they just want to be recognized for being talented, to being creative, and that's it. You know what I mean? To really being connected to their emotions, while you know, recognition is important for Capricorn energy because they want to use that recognition to have control over their life. If that means they have to control other people's lives to control their life, then so be it. But they really don't care about that, the glitz and glam. They just want to live good themselves, be comfortable with themselves, and have full control of their life. So they kind of express it in different ways. So with Saturn being in Capricorn, in the in 2 degrees Capricorn, finally direct. I definitely want to scream that out. Finally direct. Okay. That means that, you know, definitely want to scream that out real quick. But anyways, but that means that, you know, when it comes to our status and our recognition and career, we inwardly already understand the major life lessons and responsibilities we need to have, and we realize that we need to take authority in a certain way or change the way how we take our own authority. You get what I'm saying? And so we want to kind of like, okay, we learned through all of this inner work, now let's apply it. But again, like, you know, Leo is having a Leo moon in this transit is seeing it more as, fuck like the status, I still have more things to express. You know what I mean? Like, F the plan, I still have this desire to let people know certain things emotionally, how I feel. So it's kind of like, you know, Saturn is the person who feels like it's really important to like look a certain way so we can get the control that we want, and Leo is kind of want to like kick in the door, waving the 4-4 to get that recognition. All you hear is Papa don't hit me no more, you know? So yeah, that's that. And then I already mentioned this before too, with the moon being opposite Mars. That energy's still gonna go in strong. But the interesting thing here is that anger that we feel, we're going to be very more self-expressive towards the end of the day, towards the middle and end of the day. We're going to be definitely a little bit more self-expressive on the anger that we have, or a little bit more self-expressive about the motivation that we have to get that status and recognition. With Mars being in a critical degree, we're really, excuse me, that was gross. We're really uncomfortable. That was so gross. I'm sorry, guys. I'm Venus in the first. I'm really upset. Sorry. Anyways, we're going to be really feeling uncomfortable about our status and recognition and how we're going about it. So we're going to want to bust out. And with the moon being opposite of that, and while the moon is actually in Leo, which is a fiery sign, we might have like random like moments of like screaming and getting mad and being very self-expressive, or angrily being self-expressive through art or through work or through whatever. You know what I mean? You have to see where this opposition is happening in your chart to see how it plays out, okay? This moon is also going to be trine Chiron, a retrograde Chiron too. So again, we're having a better understanding of the childhood traumas that we received connected with our appearance, our personalities, our persona, our first impressions. All of us have those at one point. It may have not have been big as say if someone had Chiron and Aries natally, but it's something that we've all experienced and something that we're all kind of thinking about. Just a little nuances that kind of, when people judged us based off our appearance, our personality, and our persona, and how it really traumatized us. We're going to be going through that and using that as fuel to, turn on and drive our creativity, drive our talents, drive our emotions to do things in the most beautiful way. So that's going to be real dope. Lastly, this moon is going to be square Uranus. Again, this is again showing random moments of just random moments of uncomfortability. Whether we actually express it or not is up to us, but it's a great chance since this moon is also opposite Mars, so be aware of that. But it's funny because Taurus sign is all about self-worth, but this Taurus energy is learning to understand your self-worth, knowing that self-worth doesn't equal material worth. That is something that you have to gain from within emotionally, while Leo has their self-worth already. That's why they're the king of the zodiac. They naturally get things, get the shit that they want, that Taurus especially would want, because they already know their self-worth. And so this kind of like facade of having your self-worth versus having your self-worth are having a battle royale right now. And with Uranus being retrograde, with the moon being connected to this, emotions are going to flare up of what is self-worth. Do I really have self-confidence? Do I accept my uniqueness? Do I accept my individuality, my authenticity? And you're going to be going through that hard. And with the moon also conjuncting North Node, this is actually going to be a fated event that's really going to push us to our life path, especially if we treat this right. In a random event or random situation, it may happen, which will rock our world. And it's going to be probably more internal since Uranus is retrograde. But it is going to rock our world a little bit. So be aware of that, all right? But yeah, this is going to be a deeply emotional, day of continuously working through those emotions, figuring out what it means to you. It's making a lot of aspects, big picture, outer planets type of aspects. Outer planets are very big picture on their focus. So just be aware of that, y'all. Aware of what's happening around us, and take it in, see what resonates, and work through those emotions. Work through those emotions, okay? I hope you have a lovely, beautiful day, though. I know you will. Just continue to work through them. All right. Peace, y'all. Oh, also, all my information's down in the description box on where you can get a reading, where you can look at my Patreon shit. You know what I mean? Because I do exclusive moon readings where I talk about the full moon and the new moon. With that being said, though, the new moon is going to be happening on the 9th. I'm not going to be talking about that in detail here. I'll give you a snippet of the new moon in a daily new moon reading, the daily moon reading horoscope. And then you can watch the rest on, my Patreon. And I'll do the same thing with the full moon too. Okay. But I have other, videos there that's exclusive to Patreon. I have videos that are exclusive to Patreon folks only who support me. But I also have videos there that, you can only watch on Patreon. You can watch it for free without supporting. So definitely check my Patreon page out, patreon.com/astrodim. And then the rest of my information is where you can get readings. You get information to watch my Bed and Astrology podcast or listen to that is on there too. Okay. All right, y'all. Love you much. Peace.